Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report, where Fred Altvater and I checking on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. And something big happened this weekend, Fred. Everywhere I've been listening to radio, TV, and it's not only golf, they're talking about it. Phil Mickelson winning the PGA Championship at 50. That's what we have to talk about, Fred. How are you today?
But I'm speechless.
So we cannot talk about it.
I'm telling you what, that was, we were going back and forth all weekend, really. Not really talking about Phil that much. A little, maybe after Saturday, during Saturday, we started talking about Phil a little bit. But that was truly phenomenal. I watched most of the coverage on Sunday. I watched a fair amount on Saturday. Didn't watch just a little bit on Thursday and Friday. And I was really looking at the golf course early. The golf course did not fail to impress again. The ocean course at Kiawah Island, if you ever get the chance to play there, I know it's expensive. It's probably like $400 to play there. I don't know, whatever it is. But if you're ever going to spend the money to play an unbelievable golf course, maybe Pebble Beach, maybe Cypress Point, or, maybe Pine Valley, but certainly the ocean course is right there. Okay. It's an unbelievable place. It doesn't look like much when you drive up, except the clubhouse it just sits out there by itself. There's nothing around. There's no trees. It just sits there in the ocean. It's all along the beach there. And it's a beautiful place, but the golf course, Carlos, the pressure on these guys, especially on Sunday. I mean, it even got to Phil that one time, 13, where he stopped on that shot and pulled it over into the water. He was just trying to punch it up onto the green. And the pressure on every shot, you could just see it telling on Koepka and Oosthuizen and these guys. They were grinding on every shot. It was really something to watch.
It definitely was. And at the beginning of the round, I saw Phil Mickelson. He was one up. I mean, all this experience, if there's anybody that has that Zen mentality to finish a tournament, it's him. But he had Brooks Koepka just one behind. And we texted about it. And it's like, well, he has to overcome Brooks. I mean, Brooks still there. And what came like a trend, right? He immediately made a bogey and then birdie from Brooks. So that lead was off. But then on the other one, Brooks made a double and then Phil recovered. And it was a very dramatic finish. To me, it was intense. I mean, you could see both of them. Brooks didn't fare that well, but for Phil Mickelson, I mean, the way that he was playing, and there come about also this news that his caddy, his brother Tim, told him, "Hey, you have to start making committed shots. Okay, you have to start making them." And he said, "You know what? It hit me. That's what I have to do," because he was making some loose drives, some loose shots.
You get scared. And you get scared. You get tentative, and you don't realize it. And that's what I try to tell people all the time. When they're on the range, they're taking full swings and they're attacking. They're getting through the ball. And I try and tell them all the time, listen, when you go to the golf course and now you got trees and water and sand, you're going to start trying to guide it, and you're going to quit. You're going to stop on the ball. You have to make the commitment to make a full swing. And I mentioned to you earlier before we went on there, that's exactly what Phil did on 13 on that one shot he was trying to hit on the green, and he just stopped on it, tried to guide it, and flipped it over and pulled it into the water. And these guys were all doing that. Oosthuizen, who has one of the best swings in golf, right, was so intimidated, he was hitting it all over the lot.
And he was, but I think for Phil, even though we started to see at the beginning, the first round, Corey Connors, I was like excited. Yes, I have the dark horse, but he disappeared. But Phil, if you see, this was about who grinded better throughout the 4 days, because there were ups and downs. The best score was a 67 before Abraham Answer lost his mind on Sunday and did a 65. But really, if you see Mickelson, it was, I had a 2 under, a 1 under, a 2 under, and he finally ended up with 1 over. Now but it was a 6 under.
Well, if you looked at the front nine on yesterday, it was what? It was bogey, or bogey, birdie, par, bogey, birdie, par. It just kept, and everybody was making doubles. Everybody.
It was, but if you see this, I don't know if you noticed, but there was some sense of a calm for Phil all throughout the weekend.
That was purposeful. That was on purpose. Yes.
And this is unlike Phil, right? Because
yes.
we know that he has admitted in the past to losing focus and not being concentrated enough. But in this time, he made it his purpose to stay calm. And you could feel it. Everybody else just going up and down and trying. Even Brooks, you could see him, because that there's the psyche in golf and every sport. You have to have the mentality, the power of the mind and controlling it. That has to be, mental toughness is big. And for Phil, I think that was key. I mean, he was able to do that. And when I saw, I think that when he held it out of the sand at 5, that was a key shot for him. And that was when his brother told him after that, Shirley, you have to start making those committed shots. And shortly after that, you see that he started to go calmly, go about his way, and he maintained it. I mean, it wasn't a perfect round, 1 over, but Brooks also went 1 over at the end of the day, and Oosthuizen couldn't make up any more ground. And for Phil, and you mentioned to me, there was a key that you think also on his shots. What was that? What you saw?
I really think the wind. I really think the wind helped Phil, maybe more than anybody else, because especially when they're playing into the wind, he was taking controlled swings. He was worried about flighting the ball and not taking these wild lashing swings at the golf ball and hitting it who knows where. He was controlling it off the tee. Yes, he would miss it a little bit, but he was missing it in places he could still do something with it. Where in the past, we'd see him hit it out of bounds, or we'd see him hit it, in the tall grass. You couldn't do anything with it. And he, I really think it got him into a groove, and he was confident hitting more of like a punch swing or a controlled swing. Now, he really let it rip on 15, 16, 15, where he hit the 366-yard drive downwind.
Well, drove Brooks. Brooks was 361.
By 10, 15 yards. Yeah. Yeah. And he let that thing rip, but it was a beautiful swing. It was a hard swing, but it was really, it was really well done. And so, but most of the tournament, he was controlling that thing. And so I really think the wind helped Phil, because he couldn't make wild overswing at the ball and hit it over in left field someplace. I really think that helped him a lot.
So just like we predicted, right? Phil Mickelson at 50 was going to win here.
Oh yeah, everybody had that one right. Yeah,
everybody had it right. So, and a funny story, because there's all storylines that have come up afterwards, and I was like, my favorite text tweet came from Tina Mickelson, his sister. I don't know if you saw that, but it wasn't only Lefty the one that was pressured. There was Tina Mickelson tweeted that says that the text, she got a text from her mom saying, and I'm gonna read it: Tina, text Philip, not Phil, Philip, and tell him just to par in, don't hit bombs or activate calves, just par. They will have to catch him. He won't listen to his mother. Do you text him? Hurry. So Tina replied to her, I'll text him, their brother. He's the only one Phil is listening to today. That was just hilarious. Hilarious.
That is outstanding.
Probably he heard her, because then he parred that 18 to win.
But Carlos, Phil jumps from number 115 in the world all the way up to 30. Okay. He's the 5th lowest ranking to ever win a major at 115. He gets 5-year exemptions now into all the stuff, all the majors. It puts him back in the WGCs. It's really big stuff for him. Major number 6, he's now tied with Nick Faldo and Lee Trevino in the top 12 all time for major wins. And, and I wanted to say too, we talked about him being focused, being calm, and hitting controlled shots. How many US Opens would he have won instead of 6 runner-ups if he'd have played like this? Okay.
At
And
least
you know what? He
half.
gave a lot of credit
At
to the
least
coach
half.
he's using.
Oh, definitely. And I think we just have to see now because, of course, next stop, the US Open. That's what everybody's going to focus on. Can he finally translate that into this type of game? I know it's a different type of course, it's going to be a different type of setting, but if he can replicate this, it's going to be interesting to see. Now, everybody's asking, where does this put him in history? You're mentioning him now. He's with Lee Trevino and Sir Nick Faldo. There's still a long way to go climbing up the ladder, but he's right there. But winning it at 50, where does this places him in history right now? There's plenty of conversation. You can make Jack or Tiger 1 and 2, wherever you want. That's not the conversation here. That's like Michael Jordan and LeBron, right? Same thing. But this here after that, then you go maybe
Bobby
you're gonna
Jones,
have Arnold,
Hogan,
you have Sam, you have
yeah,
Hogan, you
yeah,
have Hagen, but
Palmer.
Mickelson, how about that? Where does he rank?
Yeah, you gotta. This probably puts him right in the top 10 conversation. I wouldn't have him much higher than 10th or 9th because there's too many good guys ahead of him. But the other factor here, Carlos, is the Tiger effect. While Tiger's winning all those majors, Phil's getting runner-ups, he's getting top 5s, but he's not quite winning. And Tiger is winning some of them that he could have won. So, he could have had a couple more because of that. But, if the rabbit wouldn't have stopped to take a nap, he'd have beat the turtle. So, you can do that all day long. The fact is, when you look back, Phil Mickelson was in the top 50 in the world for how many years? 19 years or something, right? He has won 6 majors. And when you talk about the other guys with him, Lee Trevino and Nick Faldo, those are all-time Hall of Fame status. Phil's been in the Hall of Fame for 9 years. He was inducted 9 years ago, okay? And he's out there winning tournaments against the kids. So, it places him way up there. I don't know if you can put him much above 10 or 9, but I've got about 6 or 7 guys that are ahead of him yet still, but it puts him way up there. And I got to tell you, I'm not a Phil fan. I've never been a big Phil fan, but I was really impressed with this win. I'm really impressed with what he did, the conditions he's in. He fights arthritis. He watches his diet, and then being able to focus like he does or did for this tournament. And I was telling you off air that tonight on Pardon the Interruption, Kornheiser and Wilbon were talking about Phil's win. And Wilbon had mentioned that he talked to Phil a couple months ago, and he asked, Wilbon asked Phil if he thought he could really win at age 50. And Phil said, yes. And Wilbon said, how can you focus? And Phil said, focus is the big issue. He said, a 50-year-old cannot focus like a 25-year-old. 50-year-olds have way too many other things in their head. They've had way too many other experiences. Bad things happen that keep popping up. A 50-year-old has to learn to focus like a 25-year-old. That's the difference.
And how about, let's start talking about the ramifications of this, right? We talk about different, making it at 50. You have talked to me and you asked me, hey, what's the bigger story? Even before that was on Saturday, you asked me what's biggest Tom Watson finishing second in the Open at 59 or this at 50, right? So today everything has come up like what's bigger? Was it that? I initially on Saturday I told you I think Tom Watson at 59. That's tough. It's the link scores. It was tough for him to be there. And actually at 59, you have to say, I was just a putt away from being the all-time oldest winner of a major. That's
a 5-foot putt.
A 5-foot putt. So it was amazing the way that he lost it, but he didn't win it. It's incredible he got there, but really winning at 50, because if you come to think about it, Jack was the oldest major winner at 46. So a
Well,
major is
Julius
not,
Boros was 48 when he won the PGA.
yeah,
Nicklaus
but
was
it's
46 when he won the Masters.
but at the same time, when you come to see this 50 now, it's really tough, and I can't say. I mean, I'm still debating it, but I'm leaning more towards Phil actually making it now, because I gotta say, when I think the competition now, it's tougher than when Tom Watson finished second at the Open.
Yeah, I don't. You can argue that one too. There's always been great players, so maybe instead of Phil had, of the 156 players that teed it up, he probably had to beat about 40 guys that really had a chance. Watson, maybe when he teed it up, of the 150 players that teed it up there, he had to beat maybe 40 or 50. Nicklaus always said that he felt he really only had to beat about 15 guys. And really, it would boil down, he just had to beat himself. If he would play his game, he knew he could beat everybody else. He just had that confidence. And so I don't know, where does this rank? It's a Tom Watson's accomplishment of finishing runner-up and almost winning an Open Championship at the age of 59, to me, is absolutely phenomenal. I will never forget it. I watched it. I will never forget it. Jack Nicklaus winning the Masters at age 46, phenomenal. Accomplishment all to itself. I will never forget it. Okay. I remember it like it was yesterday. Julius Boros, I remember when he won the PGA at age 48. It didn't make as big an impression on me back then, because Julius was playing pretty good golf. He was a pretty decent player for a long time. Tiger winning the Masters at 43, coming back after all the stuff he did. And then we could also throw in Ben Hogan winning after all his, medical issues after the car wreck. So, this just ranks up there with that stuff, Carlos. I can't tell you if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I can just tell you that Phil Mickelson winning a PGA on one of the toughest golf courses in the world, when the wind's blowing at 15 to 20 miles an hour across there. That is a phenomenal accomplishment, and it's one of the 5 or 6 all-time greats. And I don't care what sport you pick, it's phenomenal.
So talking about that, I mean, is this one of the greatest individual sports achievement ever? Because this talk have crossed over to all their talk shows and news outlets there as an amazing thing. And the other question is, if it wasn't Phil Mickelson, it would have been some other 50-year-old winning. Would have been such a big history.
No, someone else winning at age 50, it would have been a big story, but not like Phil winning at age 50. Because Phil has always been a great player, but he had fallen off. Yeah, he had a couple wins on Champions Tour, but he was doing nothing basically on the regular tour. He had one good round. He had a high finish someplace earlier in the year, right? A 7th or something like that. But he was really doing nothing. A bunch of missed cuts. He was really just kind of showing up to make his sponsors happy and make the tournament directors happy. So he really wasn't doing anything. And to pop up and get this done, that is absolutely phenomenal. And what was the other part of that? Of all the other sports, yes, it's a big deal. Yes, I don't care. You talk Serena Williams, you talk any other of the sports, as you get older, doing stuff. Brady at 42 playing, winning the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff. I don't care what you talk. Phil's accomplishment is right there with all of those.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very difficult to try to pick somebody over this, because if I would pick somebody, I would say maybe Michael Phelps in Beijing, all those gold medals that he did. But again, that's throughout a competition, not one tournament, right? You can make the case for it. I've heard about, Gordie Howe, he was old in hockey, but still it's a team environment. He's not on his own playing hockey. Otherwise, he would have not lasted that much. Tom Brady and other sports team. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, amazing. All the time he played as well. You can say about Roger Federer, that's an individual feat, winning a slam at 36 when nobody else is playing at that level at that age, right?
Right.
Nolan Ryan striking out at 43, leading the league in strikeouts. That could be a great feat, right? But again, it's throughout a whole competition, one tournament, 4 days, really. Phil Mickelson, I think if it's not right up there, it has to be among them. Now, he becomes the oldest player ever to win a major. Will he become the oldest player ever to play in the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, if he continues to play decent for the next 2 months, and I would say if he finishes close to the top 30 in the FedEx Cup, I think he's on the team. I think Stricker picks him. I don't think there's any question.
I totally think the same. And you can actually make a case, right? Because it's going to be hard if he just plays like you're saying. If he just keeps playing decent top 20s, a couple of top 10s here and there, maybe another win. It's going to be difficult.
Besides that, the PGA owns the Ryder Cup, right?
Right.
And Phil just won the PGA, right?
Yeah.
You think you're not going to be Westerburn and Stricker's here? We need Phil. We need Phil.
He was the winner of our tournament. He has to win there.
Yeah.
So I would say it's his to lose. I would even go out on a limb and say, hey, he's going to make it. Now, we talked about how important this news piece has become just because Phil Mickelson is Phil Mickelson, right? So if it wouldn't have been, if we would have been another 50-year-old, big story, but hey, we wouldn't even be talking.
One shot wonder. It's here today, gone tomorrow. No big deal.
Let's go with the other one. Now, there's something that we've been talking about and that keeps popping up, and that is the Premier Golf League. Okay, the biggest name that has been associated to this league, at least he has admitted talking to them, being interested in what they're offering. Not saying that he's interested in going there, but at least playing the open ear for him. What does this mean now that he wins here the PGA Championship? Would the PGA Tour and the PGA are more pressure now to say, hey, Phil, you have to stay here, and what the pull will be from the PGL. And if Phil finally ends up there, now that's a big name that goes after. Not only was he only a big name already, but now preceding with a championship, a major championship at 50, maybe some other players would start looking at saying, yeah, I might go there too.
Let's look at the dollars and cents a minute, okay? Before the PGA, it probably would have been a good deal for Phil. He could go out and play a Champions Tour. He can win. He could win 8 tournaments on the Champions Tour. 8 tournaments is only a couple $1 million, right? He'll get some more money from his sponsors. Realistically, he could make maximum probably about $5 million by playing on the Champions Tour from his sponsors and prize money. All right. If he goes to the PGL, he gets 30 million and, all the good stuff and the notoriety and the fame and all that stuff. He got 2.2 or whatever it was for winning the PGA Championship. He's going to get another probably in the neighborhood of $35 million in endorsement money because of this win, and maybe more because he's Phil Mickelson. Other people are going to come on board with offers. Okay. He's going to make up what they were going to pay him just from this one win. Plus, he picks up 5 years of exemptions into the majors. He gets to play in the majors for 5 more years. He gets to play in the WGCs. He gets to play in all the big money stuff. Okay. Also, that secures his endorsement money. So these sponsors are going to pay him now for another 5 years, big dollars, where he was falling like a rock. He is now on the skyrocket. He's now on the plateau again. It would be stupid for him to leave the PGA Tour and the big money in America to go bounce around the world on the PGL. Whole different story today than it was last week before the PGL, Carlos.
So his stock is rising right now. I totally agree with you. For the PGL really to now try to bring him in, it's going to be even more difficult money wise. But definitely, I agree with you. I don't think Phil has anything to look for on the PGL. If anything, it did to the PGL, I think it just put a nail in the coffin to it because really, right now, there's nothing that he could use from the PGL to really get his brand enhanced. More money? No, he's gonna earn it off the course anyways. And also his name is already set in history. Right. So now he's driving, he's on the driver's seat. And he if he ever wins the US Open next, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that would be big. I just think he also earns a lot more. He's vocal anyway, and his voice is always heard. But now, you can't just say he's a washed up golfer. Now he's going to have to be listened to as well.
Carlos, I got a couple of things for you before you wrap up here tonight. Did you, I don't know if you saw this or not, but John Daly was in the tournament. Did you notice that?
Oh, he started really well.
He shot 85, 80, 85, 86 plus 27, just barely missed the cut. Also, I got one more plug. The Ocean Course really showed its thing. It just kept everybody on the edge of the seats. Even the announcers, if you could feel it, the tension was palpable with the announcers. They were just like on the edge of their seats with every shot. And for guys that sit and watch all this golf all these years, they're jaded. They don't get that excited about this stuff. But it was really good stuff. I don't know that I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And Phil winning was like icing on the cake. It's unbelievable. I don't know that I've ever been this excited about a PGA championship. I can't, maybe when Spieth won or something, or no, Spieth hasn't won it, has he? But yeah, he has not won, but maybe when somebody else won it, Tiger won or something, but
JT maybe when JT won.
It's been a while.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like you're saying, it was spectacular. The images were spectacular. Even though there was limited fans, they were raucous, right? They're following Phil. Even Brooks Koepka said that his injured knee got not injured, but he got because of the fans pushing it. It reminded me of when Tiger won the Masters, that the fans were there pushing, trying to be part of that history, right? So Kiowa Island, the Ocean Course, spectacular. It did its job. I just think it should get that Open PGA Championship spot in 2030. It needs more prime time. This is an incredible golf course. It sets up great. It's a great challenge for all the golfers. And definitely, I have to agree with you. I want to see more of it. And if at some point I can pony up some money and go there and do it, yeah, I'll definitely go and try to play if they allow me to. I'll need to your help to go and play there if I want to. But I'll see. We'll see what we can do on that. But anyway, the golf course was spectacular. It was the second star to Phil Mickelson over the weekend. The rest of the players, Jordan Spieth disappointed. Rory McIlroy disappointed from the start. Brooks, I think he just got tired at the end. Everybody was just up and down, and the only constant there was Phil Mickelson.
You got it, guys. Missing the cut. Some pretty big names. DJ among the top of those. Justin Thomas, and it ate some of those guys up. But it was a fantastic tournament.
It was, and certainly I can't wait to see what the U.S. Open can bring. Because the PGA Championship set the bar really, really high. But anyway, Back Niners, this wraps up another edition of the Back Nine Report. We thank you for watching and supporting us. And to stay up to date with the latest in golf news and information, subscribe to our channel so you can get immediately the notifications of what we're bringing you. Thank you for joining us.